What's up, Steve? How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm great. How are you doing, Kathy?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. Hey, guys, welcome, welcome. How are you? We are going to go ahead and get things started. And you know what, guys? I just got a notice that they stopped, that Facebook stopped the video. So I just need to double check that we're on there. And I noticed. So, guys, give me a second while we check and make sure. Maybe, Steve, you can look on your Facebook. Okay, I see Tamitha saying hello there. So, guys, welcome. How are you guys doing? If you all can hear me out there, can somebody just let me say hello? Because I got a notice that Facebook stopped us. And just want to make sure that we are still live. Can anybody see that out there? I see a couple hellos. Hello, hello. So if you guys can let me know if you can see me and hear me, because my camera, my normal camera is not working, but that's okay. We just gonna make it do what it do right now. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Washington, Professor Washington there. And hopefully you guys can hear and see us. Steve, are you okay? Oh, Tamitha says she can hear okay. Awesome. And welcome, guys. My name is Kathy McReynolds. I'm with Bible Business Academy. And I'm excited today that our guest on here, Mr. Washington, Mr. Professor Washington, is going to talk to you guys about he's going to speak to you guys about the stock market. If you have been hiding under a rock, maybe you haven't heard, but if you're a business owner and you take your earnings and you put them in investments, I'm sure you have heard about all of the stuff with Robinhood and, you know, the GameStop and everything that's going on in terms of investing. And one of the things that Bible Business Academy does is we help people not only with your business, but we also talk to you about finances and your faith and everything. So I reached out to an amazing person, an old friend of mine. We actually go back to high school. So and that was like 2 years ago, right? No, I'm just kidding. But
last year.
last year, y'all. And so he is actually a professor at a university, and he'll tell you guys his story, but just an amazing person, also loves God, and just has been also licensed in the financial industry as well as teaching other people and the kids and students how to get licensed as well, and has that entrepreneur spirit. And he's going to share with you guys some tools and some strategies on what you can do with your money and bring it from a biblical perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself off, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Steve. So it's all yours.
So just to make sure we're on the same page, share still showing, or do I need to redo that, Kathy? Whoops. Can you hear me? Hello, can anybody hear me?
Hey, Steve, your share is showing. You should be able to see it on. Yes.
Okay, my share is showing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
So I just wanted to introduce myself to the group. As Kathy said, my high school classmate. I would mention the year, but she probably would get mad if I did, so I'm not going to mention the year of graduation. But many years in the finance and investment industry, and then I somehow accidentally migrated into academia, and I've been teaching finance for over 20 years now at Cleveland State, Akron U, and now Central State University and HBCU. That's also my alma mater. And we spend a lot of time on investments and wealth building and the Black wealth gap and how to address that in our research and advocacy. So I just want, I wanted to share with you guys a couple of my favorite tools to use to get started. They're all different and technology driven. And then we'll talk about like what's been going on lately with GameStop and that stuff. And then just to get started, and this will be really quick, I wanted to share with you what I share with all of my students, especially the freshmen in our basic economics classes, finance classes, before we get started. Um, just what are the economics of finance and sort of the base case for investing. Some of you investment experts might be like, yeah, I know this already, but most people enjoy the concept of, you know, before we can invest, or in order to invest, that's probably better. It's like, what do you understand the system that you're investing into? Do we really understand it? And it seems simple, right? There's this economy that's driving investments, business, wealth, returns, and then but what is an economy? Like normally when I teach a class and I ask whether it's students or anybody else, just everybody's heard the term, but like exactly what is the economy? Like how would you define it? Most people don't have a good definition. Usually they say things like, it's like money flowing and trade and money, and like it's a hard thing to define. Like, what is the economy anyway? Right? Because that's really what drives investment decisions, or it should, and is what determines investment outcomes on the back end. So an economy is just a system for the distribution of scarce resources. It decides who gets what. It could be, there's lots of ways to do it, right? Before modern economies, everything was barter. So we might trade sheepskins for wheat, right? So, but somehow resources that are scarce, meaning anything that's not free, has to get distributed somehow. And there's many types of economic systems, both historically and today. And I'm sure most of you could name various economic systems, but here in America, we have this thing called in most of the developed Western economies are based on quote unquote capitalism. Now, there's probably very few pure economic systems. So even American capitalism has a healthy dose of socialism. That's why we have quote unquote social security. But theoretically, we have a capitalistic based economic system which decides literally who gets what in that pure material sense. Now we're going to deal with the spiritual too, and the scripture that I chose for this. But in its base face, capitalism is materialistic, and in the United States, capitalism is really based on two concepts. Generally, one, free market competition. Now, the markets are very regulated in every industry, so it's not completely freewheeling. Although, if you looked at what was going on Robinhood with some of these stocks, that was kind of freewheeling. But trust me, the regulators are already looking at that, and they've already put that out there. But the economy is based on free market competition, primarily among businesses and then individuals, right? We're really all competing against each other for those scarce resources that are being distributed through the system. So in capitalism, there's that free market competition, which which ultimately leads to private ownership if you want to thrive in this economy, right? So the private ownership of property, assets, and then ultimately wealth is what's being competed for. And our system is so skewed, right? So one or two people can have more wealth than almost the whole country. Just look at Jeff Bezos' wealth numbers. I mean, he's wealthier than almost everybody combined. Almost everybody wants to be wealthy. And I ask the students, does anybody here want to be wealthy? They all say, yeah. And I say, what is wealth? And they're like, money, right? But so money is an asset if you're talking about cash money in the bank, right? Which helps. But ultimately, wealth is the accounting, the simple accounting formula for the balance sheet of assets, everything you own that's actually worth something, minus liabilities, which is everything you owe, and then the result is your net worth. So Jeff Bezos' net worth is based on the fact that his assets are a huge amount of Amazon stock, which far outweighs whatever liabilities he has. I don't see why he would need to ever really borrow money unless he just wants to. But obviously, it leads to a net worth, in the almost 200 billion for one individual. So we all have a balance sheet. We all have assets. We all have liabilities. When we invest in the stock market, those are assets, right? So that's what we're talking about, building net worth through asset accumulation while limiting liabilities. And of course, like I tell the students, assets are things that, we all know that. What goes up in value, it could be real property. It could be, I have a great football collection from the 70s. I have no idea what it's worth, but it's worth something. It's an asset. But then it's really financial assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, other, marketable assets, and then business assets. If you own a business or you're invested in a private business, these latter two are the separators in terms of big wealth. Real property is the most common form of wealth for a household, individual home ownership. And then there are property investors as well. So, starting your own business, investing in stock, private investments, even nonprofit businesses is a form of investment. And there's a lot of wealthy people who started off on the nonprofit side. So I just wanted to go through that before we talk about some of the ways to take advantage of that based on technology. In my father's house, there are many mansions. If it wasn't true, I would have told you. I love that scripture because in my father's house, there are many mansions, not rooms in the house, literally mansions, right? Like wealth. There's so many ways to to enjoy the father's blessings within his house. There's many mansions. And so when I started in the investment industry back in 1988, to invest in the stock market, and I went to work in that industry. I remember working in the industry and not even being able to afford to invest, because to open up an account with a brokerage firm required literally thousands of dollars, and you had to go physically into a brokerage house, meet with a broker, and pull out a checkbook. And if you didn't have at least $5,000 or $10,000, there was no way physically to even get you started, because the structure of the market didn't accommodate any sort of small dollar investing. You had to invest in round lots. It was very high commissions. It was totally different. It was very difficult. Fast forward to 2021, anybody with a cell phone can be in any number of investment opportunities with literally $1 for free. And you can do that repeatedly every single day. So one of the things that Kathy wanted me to go over is just the various tools that are out there to get you into investing. And you don't have to be exclusive to one, because I literally have an account with all of these just because I'm curious when they come out, like, how does it work? But it also helps me explain to students and other people the difference between one or the other, how you get started. And so I've picked out a few, and we can make this is just a simple Word document with web links. And so I think everyone's probably heard of what was going on last week with GameStop and AMC through Robinhood, and you may have understood all of it, but I'll start from the beginning. Robinhood is a hugely popular investment app where you can buy and sell stock and ETFs, exchange traded mutual funds, for free, no commissions. And so it has a huge following. The demographic is young, it's like under 30, but there's tons of them. And so they decided through a separate website called Reddit, which also has a young demographic, that I can only take so much social media, but I did go in now and join that page just to monitor it. They decided that they were going to stick it to the man, right? Who is the man? The man are these huge hedge funds, extremely wealthy investors, basically billionaires, who pull their money in hedge funds, and then they can do anything they want with it. But one of the things they love to do is bet against stocks, meaning they'll short them, they'll sell the stock, even though they don't own it, hoping it goes down, and then they make money that way. So these investors did their research and identified several large hedge funds like Citadel and others, and decided they would stick it to them by literally buying up companies that are almost going out of business, like AMC. No one's been to see a movie in a year, right? To try and hurt these people. It's called a short squeeze. A short squeeze is when investors who have bet short, meaning they bet the stock is going to go down, not up. If the stock goes up, then they're squeezed and they got to get out of it and take the loss. And so they figured they would squeeze these big hedge fund short investors by bidding up essentially worthless companies, or companies that are not really making money. And so they did, but they basically messed themselves up because the stocks are basically back down to where they were. And a lot of them lost money on the way back down. And guess what? The big short hedge funds are still big short hedge funds and probably made money. In fact, the biggest one, Citadel, is not only a hedge fund, it's a market maker, which means they actually buy transactions from brokers like Robinhood. So they probably made more money off of those investors bidding up the stock, being a market maker, than they lost getting short squeezed, which is ironic. But Robinhood is probably the biggest, most popular investing app right now. And so if you're a trader, meaning you like buying and selling individual stocks or investments for free, Robinhood is great. And so it's for people who like to trade, it's for people who like to actively invest in individual securities. But that's extremely difficult to do well long term if you have other things going on in your life. But it's an excellent tool. A lot of my students, and they run up to me all the time showing me their Robinhood balances, and that's great. Another app that I like for people who are starting out is called Acorns. And Acorns doesn't do individual stocks. They do already created portfolios that you can buy into for as little as $5 for free. And then they have this technology called roundups, meaning you can connect your debit card, and every time you spend money, if there's any change left over in that transaction, that change is rounded up to the next dollar and then deposited in your investment account. And they're going to use primarily mutual funds. So it's not individual stocks, it's not trading, it's just it's just long-term asset accumulation at a very low price. Same thing with Stash. Stash is a low entry point, $5. They have more portfolios than Acorns that you can choose from based on various themes like technology, clean, clean energy, biotech, whatever you want. But already made portfolios of stocks and mutual funds at a low price. It's not you wouldn't want to trade it, but it's a good way to accumulate. And they have debit cards, they have a bunch of other stuff. It's really a nice service. Stockpile is a service that allows you to buy stock by the dollar. So at Stockpile, it doesn't really matter what price the stock is. You can buy Amazon, you could buy $5 worth of Amazon. You can also give people gifts of stock. So you could email your friends $5 worth of, Telsa, and then they could redeem that, open their account. So it's another good way to accumulate stock by the dollar as opposed to buying it by the whole share price. Prosper.com is basically the same as Stash and Stockpile. I included it because one of the backers and founders of that investment company is Will Smith, the actor, rapper. He wanted to open up investing to more people and invested in Prosper, which is, an investment app. It's also way more social media oriented. So they have groups and chat rooms, and it's sort of part social media, part investment app. Is cool. SoFi, which I really like, I actually use this one the most, is an online portal that allows you to do a bunch of financial services, including investing, including dollar-based investing as low as $1. But they also have some really cool products. For example, they have an ETF that pays you interest weekly. So it's kind of cool. Every week, every Friday, like you get paid interest, literally every Friday by investing in this fund through SoFi. And all you need is like $1 to get started. Treasury Direct is unique in that it's actually the US government. So it's the only way I know that you can buy bonds, government bonds, treasury bonds, directly online for free, no commission, and the minimum amount is $100. So you can buy $100 worth of a treasury bond, a savings bond. You can redeem them. You can give them out as gifts. It's through the U.S. government. They're guaranteed by the U.S. government, and it's free. So it's a great way to buy bonds, not stocks, bonds on the internet for free. And then lastly is my students' favorite, the Cash App / Stocks app. So now if you have a Cash App account, and almost everybody has a Cash App account, you can, with only $1, buy stocks and mutual funds with your Cash App account with $1 for free. So even if you have money sitting in your Cash App, you can be investing it while you're waiting to use it. And it's a great way for young people to start investing. So I wanted to just run through those tools and some of the differences, and to help people, get involved and build. And I think with that, Kathy, I'll stop for any questions or any interactions, right? But these are the mansions within my father's. There's many mansions. There's a lot of ways to do it. Technology has made it extremely easy and cheap, with all sorts of features. So I'll stop there. Um, Many of these also have crypto. I know Robinhood has crypto, Acorns has crypto, SoFi, and Cash App has crypto. So you can buy Bitcoin as well by the dollar for free.
That sounds like some good stuff you just shared with us there. I'm going to go ahead and hide that out. Guys, oh my goodness. Did you hear all of those companies that he talked about that you can invest in? And what we'll do if you want to have that list that Steve has there, if you guys can just go ahead and put in the comment section, just put invest, just write invest, and we'll make sure that we get you a copy of that list. And that SoFi, tell me a little bit more about that SoFi.
So SoFi started out as a company that was doing student debt consolidation. Then they expanded into just broad financial services, banking, investing, lending. You can get a home loan. It's a great company in terms of their technology. And really, if you have a SoFi account, you can do everything. You can do anything. You can set up an account. They give you a debit card. They'll send you checks. You can write checks. You can use a debit card. You can invest in crypto. You can invest in the stock market. You can invest in some of these. They have their own mutual funds, like the cool one that pays you interest every week. That's the one I like. Every Friday.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I was like, what? You get interest every week?
Every week. Yeah,
that's many matches in my father's house. Let's talk about that.
They have an ETF, an exchange traded mutual fund, that pays weekly interest. You invest in the fund, and every Friday you get money. It's as simple as that. And they have a structure. What they did was, it's a short-term bond fund. So the fund owns tons of bonds that pay interest. So that's all they're doing. They're passing on the interest to the investors on a weekly basis. So it's like, and it's nothing like, it's like it's income. So the more you put in it, obviously, the bigger your weekly check is, your weekly interest is. This is really cool.
That sounds cool, y'all. So listen, if you can get money every single way. Oh, and I forgot, I must say this disclosure. I am a licensed financial advisor. So anything that we talk about on here today is not construed as investment advice. Either see myself or another advisor if you want, definite stock and investment strategies and tips. So that is my disclosure. I'm not giving you advice. We're just sharing information here. So wanted to make sure that I get that in for the regulators out there and anybody paying attention. So like Steve, this has been so informative, the information that we have here. I'm going to hide because I can't, all I see is from you, like up here. You might want to pull your camera up a little bit if you can. If not, I'll go ahead and get rid of the widget down there.
Hold on, maybe because I can't really see you guys, so I can't tell what I look like. Let me see.
No, you're
Here I am. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. We just needed you above. above the line a little bit. So guys, listen, let me tell you a little bit about Bible Business Academy and why we're so excited about it and what we do. So our goal is to help people create not only a business for yourself, but also a lifestyle using biblical principles. So our goal is to show up here and to empower you, to equip you with God's word, and also just basic tactics and strategies so that you can create a business, so that you can create a lifestyle, so that you can position yourself not only to grow your business, but serve and help other people. And as we say, just do God's work. And I love the fact that, I was like, hey, Steve, so what scripture are you going to use today? And he was like, John 14:2, like, in my Father's house, there were many mansions. I mean, and like I just got chills off of that right there, just saying that, because God wants you to live a prosperous life. He wants you to enjoy this life while you're here. It is short, guys. And so if you're that person who wants to start a business, if you want to, or you already have a business going and you want to grow a business, or you want to, just get your life together when it comes to finances, fun, and just living your best life, then you want to go to BibleBusinessAcademy.com, BibleBusinessAcademy.com. We got so many free resources there for you that you can download so that you can learn. We always say the more you learn, the more you'll earn. And then, join us in one of our academies where we'll be here to give you so much more tips and things that you need to do so that you can create the best lifestyle while putting God first. So, Steve, any last final words that you want to share with everybody out there before we say so long?
I would say try these out. Experiment. There's nothing wrong with because they're so low dollar based. Like, you can go out and try, $1 here, 5 there, whatever, and then if you whittle down to what you want, you can get rid of what you don't want. But I think it's worth it to try to go through some of these things and then share them with other people, especially kids, young people, because they really take to it. And for them, it's even easier than it is for us. So
Nice.
That would be my message.
That's a good. So I see a question on here. It says, and this is from Kenneth Bell. It says, are the investing apps like TD Ameritrade any good?
Yeah. So when you start talking about stuff like TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, they have apps too, but those are your more traditional brokerage and money management firms. It depends on the asset level you want to go in with.
So when you say brokerage,
to try to start out there with $5.
When you say brokerage and management fund, what does that mean for the fourth grader out there?
Right. So that your traditional stock brokerage money management firm, as opposed to your new school investment app, which basically has that behind it, but with more technology. The biggest difference is if you do a TD Ameritrade and you're like, hey, I got $5, they're going to be like, hey, right, not here. So it depends on the asset level, but you might say, no, I got a couple thousand I want to deal. Okay. TD Ameritrade might make sense. Charles Schwab might make sense. The other, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, they all have apps. JP Morgan Chase, they all have them. They're not at that low entry level, so to speak, but and we should do that. We should do a session on that next tier. Like, here, we just did sort of entry level, like, okay, I got a few bucks. I just want to try this out. I'm not trying to act crazy. And then next time talk about, okay, I got a couple $1,000 or $5, whatever. I want to look at something a little more built out, okay, in terms of whatever the service I'm going to get. Let's talk about those. Let's talk about TD and Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley and those. So yeah, that's the next step up. They're going to charge you more. They're going to charge you a little more too. Yeah.
So what I hear you saying, and that's great, because guys, on everything that we do, we always have a beginning level, like our class. If you are new at starting a business and you just want to get started, that is our Genesis get going level. And then we have that advanced level. So we'll do the same thing with the investment tips as we come on here. We're going to make sure that you are getting everything that you need and you can grow with us. So what I hear you saying is that if you got a few dollars, like that change, you can take it, instead of putting it in that little piggy bank or in that jar at home, you can take that money and put it into the market. Is that what I hear you saying?
You can.
Okay.
You can very easily. I think for a lot of people, it's like, I just want to try it first, because you might say, no, I got a couple $1,000s, but let me take $20 and try one of these just to see how it works, so I can get used to the interaction of it, what the what it even looks like. How do I check my balance? Okay, let me see what happens when I want some of my money out. How long does it? So I always recommend people, if you start with the low balance options, just to get yourself acclimated, and then you're like, okay, I really want to get serious now. There's a whole nother smorgasbord of applications that you can start to look at.
Gotcha. Makes sense. We got another question up here. What about those pot stocks, that natural herb that's out on the ground, grass
Yeah,
ground?
those are really hot. Those are really hot. So there's a lot of marijuana stocks and marijuana industry related stocks that are extremely hot, especially after the election, because a lot of states, as you know, move forward with legalization or to various degrees, what have you. And of course, there's going to be more to come. Eventually, it'll be nationwide, obviously. So to me, the best way to do that, there are a bunch of ETFs, exchange traded funds, that focus specifically on that industry. For me, that's the easiest way to do it. Or you could go through and do a lot of research on your own. But really, if you just buy into that industry, if you Google marijuana ETFs, you're going to get a bunch of them, a number of large ones. And you can buy into those through any of these apps. So you can take $5 and start into a marijuana ETF, exchange traded fund, which is going to own a bunch of marijuana stocks in that industry. And then that's the best way to educate yourself. Then you start, because you might see one that you want to pick off individually in the future once you get up to speed.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, guys, one of the things that we always tell people, especially when you're dealing with stocks, because it's different from a mutual fund, is that you got one company. So if that one company goes down, you can lose everything. So only put in money that you don't care about losing, and don't hold on to it anyway, because you know what? Money just flows and goes, and you have to realize that God will always be there to provide for you and to take care of you. So I just want to make sure that we throw that out there. Kenneth said, great info. Thanks. We appreciate you tuning in. Guys, make sure that you share this broadcast out. A lot of people will catch this during the replay. And so we want to be here each and every Thursday. You can catch us with different topics Thursday at 7 p.m. And we'll be talking about different topics from finances to faith to funnels, any and everything to help you grow your business so that you can create the lifestyle that God said that He promised you to have. So I appreciate you. Steve, I almost say Kenneth. Steve, any last things that you want to throw out there before we say goodbye here today?
Just thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to share this information. Hopefully, it was informative and it could help people to make a move and look at some of these things and show other people it. So thank you for being here. We appreciate
you guys. We're going to go ahead and head off. If you got any further questions, you can still go ahead and drop those in the comments. We will answer all the questions, even if it's a day or two from here. Make sure you also join our Facebook group so that you can get more information on what we're doing, how we're doing it. But we're excited to do God's work and to be able to help you guys change your life. So have a great day, y'all. We will see you later. Bye-bye.